The story begins with a very sad scene. A young boy named Chris is lying in a coffin, and he looks very pale. The villagers are standing around the coffin. One man points out two small holes on Chris's neck, which look like a bite mark. Another villager says there is no blood left in his body. They are scared because this has never happened in their village before. They start to whisper and blame someone. They think a vampire did this, and they suspect a young girl named Suha. Suha is hiding behind a large tree nearby. She looks terrified as she listens to the angry adults blaming her. It is raining hard now. The villagers are gathered on a hill, looking at a burning house. They say a fire started at Chris's house. The people are very angry and upset. They wonder how such a terrible tragedy could happen again in their peaceful village. The scene shows a close-up of the bite marks on Chris's neck again. The villagers are convinced that the rumors about Suha are true. The villagers are sure she is a vampire. But then, the memory fades and we see a bright blue sky from the past. We go back in time to when Chris was alive. He is smiling happily at Suha and tells her that he trusts her completely. The flashback continues to the day they first met. Chris walks up to Suha, who is sitting alone under a tree. Suha looks annoyed and turns away. She asks who he is, but she does not look happy to see him. Chris is not bothered by her cold attitude. He smiles kindly and looks at her with big, friendly eyes. He reaches out his hand to her. He wants to help her up and introduce himself properly. Suha is surprised. She pulls her knees to her chest and looks at him with suspicion, wondering what he wants. The boy introduces himself cheerfully. He says, "I'm Chris," and continues to smile at her. He leans in closer, looking curious. He asks if her name is HMPH because she made a grumpy sound earlier. Suha gets angry and yells at him. She tells him that HMPH is definitely not her name. The sunlight shines through the leaves. Chris guesses her name correctly this time. He asks, "Suha, right?" He beams with joy. He tells her that he actually knew her name all along, and he looks very happy to meet her. Suha is shocked that he knows who she is. She stares at him with wide eyes, looking a bit confused. Chris points a finger and says she is famous. He tells her the villagers say she is the vampire who moved to their town. Suha quickly turns her head away. Chris continues to list the rumors, saying she moves cities often and never comes out during the day. Suha looks very uncomfortable. She sits curled up in a ball, feeling ashamed of the rumors that follow her everywhere. Chris makes a funny face and adds the last rumor. He says people claim she eats pigeons, which sounds very silly. Suha screams loudly in anger. She shouts, "Absolutely not," and denies the rumors, especially the one about pigeons. She falls to her knees, frustrated. She wonders why people spread such weird and mean lies about her. Chris looks at her innocently. He asks why she doesn't just come out in the sunlight to prove everyone wrong. Suha looks sad again. She tells him it doesn't matter what she does because nobody ever believes her words. She hides her face in her arms. She feels helpless because no matter how many times she explains, the rumors don't stop. Suha remembers a warning from her past. An older woman told her she must never use her special ability in front of others. The memory shows Suha running very fast as a child. The woman warned her that people would misunderstand her power. The woman told her to hide. She said if people saw her ability, they would burn her house down out of fear. Back in the present moment under the tree, Suha looks terrified. She worries that maybe she really is a monster like they say. Suddenly, a bright light appears. Chris interrupts her dark thoughts and tells her she is not a vampire. Chris explains his own situation. He says people judge him too because he was born with a bad leg. Suha looks up, surprised. She didn't realize that Chris also felt different from the other kids. Chris stands up and shows his leg. He explains that he walks with a limp, so he understands how it feels to be judged. He looks down at Suha kindly. He tells her that people often gossip about anyone who is a little bit different from them. Suha stares at him. She realizes that Chris is trying to comfort her by sharing his own pain. Chris continues his story. He says he once heard someone say his parents would regret having a disabled son. Suha listens quietly. She feels sad hearing that people said such cruel things about him. Chris smiles bravely. He says he used to be scared, but now he knows for sure that his parents love him very much. He looks confident now. He tells Suha that he doesn't let stupid gossip bother him anymore. He grins widely, showing his teeth. He looks very happy and strong, despite what people say. They sit together under the tree. Chris asks Suha to be his friend, bridging the gap between them. Chris admits that other kids don't let him join their games either. He is lonely just like her. Suha looks at him with a blush. She is touched that he wants to be friends despite everything. Chris reaches out his hand again. This time, Suha takes it, and they shake hands, becoming friends. A montage of their friendship begins. We see them playing together in the woods, laughing and having fun. They are splashing water in a river. For the first time, Suha is acting like a normal child and enjoying herself. They sit on a hill watching the sunset. Their clothes are drying on the grass as they enjoy the beautiful view. Suha looks at Chris seriously. She decides she wants to tell him her biggest secret because she trusts him. Chris looks surprised. He wonders what she is going to say, but he listens patiently. Suha reveals her secret. She tells him she has a weird ability waiting for him to be scared. Instead of being scared, Chris is excited. He gives her 2 thumbs up and says, "That's so cool." Suha is shocked. She asks him if he is really not scared that she might be a vampire. Chris laughs it off. He says, "Nah, of course not," because he knows the real Suha. He confirms it again. He asks her if she really thinks he would be scared of his best friend. Suha looks down, feeling a bit insecure. She admits that she is still scared that she might actually be a vampire. Chris looks at her with a gentle expression. He wants to help her stop worrying about her identity. Suha looks worried. She confesses that deep down, she fears the rumors might be true. Chris makes a joke to cheer her up. He tilts his head and asks, "Wanna try biting my neck?" They stand in the forest. Suha is flustered by his joke, while Chris looks calm and happy. Suha waves her hands frantically. She yells nonsense, and gets very embarrassed by his suggestion. The wind blows through the trees. Chris becomes serious and tells her that he trusts her completely. He smiles warmly. He tells her that one day she will believe in herself just as much as he believes in her. He makes a promise. He says when she finally trusts herself, she can bite his neck, then proving she won't hurt him. Suha stares at him with wide eyes. She is amazed that someone trusts her more than she trusts herself. The scene shows Suha looking at Chris with tears in her eyes. Meeting him was the best thing in her life. She clutches her chest, feeling emotional. She is so grateful to have a friend who accepts her. The scene shifts to night. Chris is walking away, but he turns back to wave at her one last time. Suha smiles back. She looks forward to the future and spending more time with her new friend. Chris is shown smiling brightly. They make plans to go see fireflies together next week. Suha thinks to herself. She decides that next time she will go to his village instead of hiding. The sky is beautiful and blue. Suha promises herself that she will go to Chris this time. Suddenly, the scene cuts to the fire. Suha is screaming. She realizes Chris is still inside the burning house. The house is engulfed in huge flames. The villagers yell that the ceiling has collapsed and it is too dangerous. Suha tries to run in, but people hold her back. She screams that she has to save Chris. Suha remembers the warning again. "You should never use that ability," the voice in her head says. She ignores the warning. She stumps her foot hard on the ground, preparing to run. She uses her super speed. She moves so fast that the villagers are just a blur behind her. She dashes toward the burning house. The fire is raging, but she does not stop. She runs straight into the flames. She knows people will see her power, but she doesn't care. Her eyes are glowing. She knows everyone will think she is a vampire, but saving Chris is more important. Inside the fire, she screams Chris. As she searches for him through the smoke, debris is falling everywhere. She runs through the burning hallways desperate to find him. She sees a wall blocking her way. She grits her teeth and prepares to break through. She smashes through the wall with her super strength. The building is crumbling around her. Suha stops, panting heavily. She is surrounded by fire and smoke, but she spots something. Chris is trapped under a pile of heavy wood and metal. He is weak but still alive. Suha grabs the heavy debris. She uses all her strength to lift the massive pile off of him. She throws the debris aside. She shouts that she came to save him, no matter what happens to her. Chris looks up at her. He sees her using her strength, but he isn't afraid. He smiles weakly. He cries tears of joy. He tells her, "I trust you just like he promised he always would." Suha is crying too. She holds the heavy beam up, saving his life, proving she is a hero, not a monster. She looks down at him with tears streaming down her face. She is just glad she reached him in time. The timeline returns to the present tragedy. Chris is in the coffin. He died, but not because of Suha. The scene changes completely. We are now at a large Gothic school at night. A voice says they haven't had a new student in a while. We see a high-angle view of the beautiful academy. It looks like a castle with blue roofs. A teacher is walking down a hallway. She asks for the new student's name as she unlocks a door. Suha is now a teenager. She stands there in her school uniform, looking calm and grown up. The teacher welcomes her. She says, "Welcome to Deseli's Academy," and smiles politely. They walk outside in the courtyard. The teacher explains that the academy operates as a night school. Suha follows the teacher. The teacher says classes start at 9 p.m., which is unusual. The teacher leads her to a dormitory. She apologizes, saying there were no rooms in the new building. They enter an old, dusty room. The teacher warns her that it might be messy since no one used it. Suha looks around the dark room. The teacher continues talking about the school rules. The teacher says students cannot leave campus after sunset. It is for their own safety. The teacher leans in with a serious face. She mentions a murder happened nearby recently. Suha listens carefully. Her eyes narrow slightly when she hears about the trouble outside. The teacher says rumors claim a vampire did it, but she assures Suha the school is safe. Suddenly, they see a boy standing in the hallway. He has dark hair and glowing golden eyes. Suha stops walking. She and the boy stare at each other as they pass in the corridor. The boy looks at her intensely. He seems to notice something different about her. Suha looks back at him. She feels a strange tension in the air between them. The boy walks past without saying a word, but his eyes follow her movement. They walk away from each other. The sound of their footsteps echoes in the quiet hall. Suha turns her head to look back one last time. She wonders who that mysterious boy was. The boy, whose name is Heli, keeps walking. He looks deep in thought after seeing the new girl. Heli stands alone in the hallway. The moonlight shines on him, making him look very mysterious. The teacher shows Suha her door. It is an old wooden door at the end of the hall. The teacher says it is in the far corner, away from others. She apologizes again for the isolation. Suha smiles slightly. She tells the teacher, "I like it here," and thanks her. Suha opens the door and walks inside. She drops her bag, ready to see her new home. She looks around the room. It is cluttered and very dusty, just like the teacher warned. There are books and spiderwebs everywhere. It looks like a storage room more than a bedroom. Suha pauses. Most people would be upset, but she has a different reaction. She jumps up in the air with joy. "This is great!" She cheers, looking very excited. Suha is thrilled. She thinks this is the best high school because she can be alone. She is happy about the strict policy against vampires. She feels safe here. She claps her hands to her cheeks. She screams "Zippy!" with hearts in her eyes. She relaxes, thinking she will never be mistaken for a vampire here. It is a fresh start. We see a montage of Suha cleaning. She sweeps the floor and dusts the furniture happily. She wipes her forehead. She is tired but satisfied. She thinks a dirty room is no big deal. She sits down and thinks about her ability. It has caused her so much trouble in the past. She has a flashback to the fire. She remembers lifting the heavy debris to save Chris. She looks solemn. She thinks the ability did one good thing. It let her save her friend. She smiles sadly, remembering Chris's face when he said he trusted her. Suddenly, the door opens. Heli, the boy from earlier, walks into her room unexpectedly. Suha is in the middle of cleaning. She is holding a huge, heavy bed over her head with one hand. Heli freezes. He stares at her in total shock, seeing a small girl lifting a giant bed. Suha freezes too. She realizes she has been caught using her super strength. She panics and slams the bed down. Thump! The whole room shakes from the impact. Suha grabs her head. She thinks, "Oh no," and starts to panic. She waves her hands frantically. She tries to explain, shouting, "It's not what you think." Heli just stares at her. He looks confused and points at the bed she just threw. Suha starts crying comic tears. She thinks her life is over and she will be kicked out. Heli looks at her closely. He doesn't look scared, just very curious about what he just saw. Heli walks right up to her face. He stares into her eyes intently. Suha is sweating. She says hot and tries to lean back, but he is very close. Heli inspects her. He says, "Just by how upset you look right now." Suha closes her eyes, expecting him to call her a vampire. She waits for the accusation. She shouts, but trying to defend herself before he can say anything. Heli smiles charmingly. He says she is just someone who doesn't want to be mistaken for a vampire. Suha is stunned. He didn't call her a monster. He understood her immediately. The scene flashes back to her childhood. She remembers hiding behind the tree in the rain. She remembers the loneliness and the fear she felt back then. She remembers looking at the empty trees, feeling like she had no one. She remembers Chris and how he was the only one who trusted her. Back in the dorm room, Suha looks fierce. She thinks about how much she hates vampires for ruining her life. Heli looks at her with a serious, cool expression. He says there is no one in the world who hates vampires more than he does. The chapter ends with Heli's declaration. They share a common hatred for vampires, setting the stage for their story. Suha is sitting on her messy floor, talking to the mysterious boy, Heli. She tells him that she is sure everyone feels the same way she does. Her face becomes very serious. She tells him that she really, truly does not want to be mistaken for a vampire ever again. She looks him directly in the eyes. She says that there is no one else in the whole world who hates vampires more than she does. Hallie looks at her with a sweaty, nervous expression. He listens silently as she explains her deep hatred for his kind. Sua stands up and clasps her hands together with joy. She explains that this is exactly why she is so excited to transfer to this school. Hallie forces a smile and agrees with her. He nervously says, "Yeah, you're right," trying not to reveal his secret. Suha beams with happiness. She says that since there are no vampires here, she finally won't be mistaken for one. Hallie looks at her sympathetically. He tells her that she must have had a very rough time in the past. Suha wipes a tear from her eye. She says she can't even put it into words how difficult it was for her. She trembles with anger. She explains that she was mistaken for a vampire countless times because of those stupid vampires. Suha calms down a little and explains her confusion. She says her parents told her that vampires were just myths from novels. She looks confused and sad. She says she doesn't know why things changed and why vampires suddenly became real. Hallie quickly changes the subject to avoid talking about vampires. He points to a book and asks if she came to find it. He asks where she put the book so he can get it for her. Sua tries to stop him, saying it is fine. Hallie picks up a thick, brown book from the floor. He asks, "Is this it?" While holding it up, he inspects the book closely. He comments that it looks very ancient and old. Sua admits that she has a thing for old books. She smiles, happy to talk about her hobby. Hallie asks if that is the reason she entered Deselli's academy, since the school is famous for its old library. Sua laughs awkwardly and lies a little. She says, "Huh? Oh, yeah," and agrees with him. She holds the book to her chest. She explains that her hobby is reading because she didn't have many friends in school. Sua looks sad as she remembers her past. She admits that the only friend she ever had was Chris. Hallie looks at the book in his hands. He says he has never seen someone read a book quite like this one before. He looks at her with interest. He asks her what this specific book is about. Suha gets nervous again. She stammers and says it is just about some old stories. Hallie smiles charmingly. He says he would like to read it later on since she finds it interesting. Sua suddenly bows her head. She apologizes to him out of nowhere. Hallie is surprised. He asks her, "Sorry? About what?" and looks confused. Suha looks shy. She says she kept him there for too long and feels bad about it. She blushes and touches her hair. She admits she got too excited because it has been so long since someone talked to her normally. Hallie smiles warmly. He tells her not to worry about it and that he really enjoyed talking to her. He hands the book back to her. He says, "Here's your book," politely. Hallie turns to leave. He says thanks and that he will get going now. Suha waves goodbye awkwardly. She watches him walk out the door. As the door slams shut with a thud, Suha realizes something important. She thinks, I should have gotten his name. She panics, realizing she missed her chance to make a new friend. She thinks she messed up again. Suddenly, the door handle turns. The sound clunk echoes as someone opens the door from the outside. Suha turns around in surprise. She sees Hallie standing there again in the doorway. Hallie stands in the light. He asks her directly, "What's your name?" Suha is startled. She points to herself and stammers, "Emmy? My name?" She shouts her name loudly, "It's Sua. I'm Sua." Because she is so flustered, Hallie smiles gently. He repeats her name, Sua, and tells her it is a pretty name. Sua fidgets with her hands. She feels awkward but happy that he came back. Hallie points to himself playfully. He asks, "Don't you want to know my name?" Suha gets excited and yells again, "Of course I do. I want to know. What's your name?" Hallie laughs at her energy. He finally introduces himself properly. He says, "I'm Hallie. I'm in the 12th grade of Deselli's academy." He smiles kindly and makes an offer. He says simply, "Let's be friends." Suha looks at him with wide, happy eyes. She is touched by his offer. She smiles back at him. She says, "Sure, I'd like that," accepting his friendship. Hallie waves goodbye for real this time. He says, "I'll see you around," and Suha watches him leave. Suha stands alone in her room. She is so happy that she finally made a friend. The scene shifts to the hallway outside. It is dark with purple moonlight shining through the pillars. Hallie is walking alone when he hears a noise. He turns his head and says, "Huh?" A boy with bright red hair waves at him. He shouts, "There you were. I was looking for you." The red-haired boy walks up to Hallie. He says they were about to head out without him. Hallie apologizes to his friend. He says, sorry, as the friend approaches. Another boy with blonde curly hair pops up. He asks excitedly if Helly was talking to the new student. Helly confirms it. He says, yeah, as the blonde boy leans on the redhead's shoulder. Helly points back to the room. He tells them she is staying in the old dormitory where they used to hang out. The red-haired boy looks concerned. He says the storage room will be uncomfortable because the sun doesn't shine in there. The blonde boy, named Shin, is optimistic. He suggests that maybe they can hang out there if they become friends with her. Helly smiles at Shin. He tells him, you're great at making friends, Shin. Two other boys appear. One has silver hair and the other has blue hair. The silver-haired boy asks what he means by becoming friends with a human. The group stands together. Helly explains that he already told her his name and asked to be friends. Helly looks serious. He tells the group her name's Suha. The silver-haired boy, Solon, looks annoyed. He warns Helly, Solon's right, Helly. We shouldn't hang out with other kids. The blue-haired boy, Jaka, agrees. He says, exactly, we don't need to, in the first place. Helly looks at the blue-haired boy. He says, Solon, I know what you're worried about. Helly's eyes glow slightly. He says, but there's something different about her. He explains his feeling. He says she feels something similar to them, yet not exactly the same. The red-haired boy asks, is she one of us? Looking confused, Jaka, the blue-haired boy, dismisses that idea immediately. He says, there's no more one of us. We're the only ones. Helly agrees quietly. He says, yeah, she's not one of us. Helly thinks about Suha. We see a black and white image of her in his mind. Helly looks conflicted. He admits, but she is different. He stands in the hallway looking distant. He confesses, I feel drawn to her for some reason. Shin bursts out laughing. He teases Helly, shouting, what? Helly, did you fall for her? Jaka interrupts with a cold look. He says, we don't have emotions like that, and we shouldn't. Solon smirks cruelly. He says, there's no point in befriending a human. Humans are. Another boy with gray hair agrees. He says hanging out with them will bring her nothing but trouble. Helly looks down sadly, knowing they are right. Jaka finishes the conversation by saying sternly, anyway, all of you stay away from the new girl. The blue-haired boy, Jaka, turns his back on the group. He gives a strict order, anyway, all of you stay away from the new girl. Suha is standing right there in the hallway. She looks shocked and upset because she can hear him telling everyone to avoid her. Suha looks down at the floor, feeling very sad. She thinks to herself, they already hate me, feeling rejected immediately. She remembers a painful moment from her past. In her village, children used to point fingers and whisper about her. The village kids would shout, I heard she brings bad luck, pointing at her and calling her a vampire. Back in the present, Suha looks heartbroken. She thinks that this new school is exactly the same as back then. She closes her eyes, trying not to cry. She thinks, I really wanted to get along this time, hoping for a fresh start. She feels the boys watching her. She thinks, they're looking at me, and feels very uncomfortable. Suddenly, Jaka turns around and shouts, hey, you. Suha flinches in surprise and looks up. Jaka leans down, looking very scary. He asks her aggressively, do you even know my name? Suha is sitting on the floor, trembling. She looks up at him, too scared to answer. Jaka stands over her, making her feel small. The atmosphere is very tense and frightening. Suddenly, the blonde boy, Shin, steps in. He interrupts with a bright smile, you must be Suha. I've heard about you. Shin beams at her, radiating friendly energy. He says, you just transferred here today, right? I'm Shin. He reaches out to shake her hand. He says nicely, it's nice to meet you. Suha is confused by the sudden change. She stammers, and nice to meet you too, while shaking his hand. The red-haired boy, Gino, steps forward. He pushes Shin aside playfully and says, Shin's a troublemaker, so keep your distance. Gino points to himself with a grin. I'm Gino, he says enthusiastically. Gino points to the silver-haired boy with glasses. He introduces him, saying, and this is John. John takes out a handkerchief. He wipes his hands thoroughly, looking very neat and proper. John finishes wiping his hands. He says simply, hi, John, keeping his introduction short. Suha stares at them with wide eyes. She wonders why they are all suddenly talking to her. Jaka, who was mean earlier, puts on a fake smile. He says, don't mind Solon. I consider it our duty as humans. He sweats a little as he lies. He finishes to be nice to a new student. He whispers under his breath to John, John, you traitor, because John was nice first. Suha smiles awkwardly. She says, well thanks, not realizing Jaka is just pretending. Suha peeks over at the last boy, Solon. She thinks he must be Solon. Solon stands with his arms crossed, looking away. He thinks, looks like he doesn't like me. Solon turns his head away sharply. HMPH. He grunts, making it clear he is annoyed. Suha sweats nervously. She thinks, yep, thought so. He definitely hates me. Suha looks down, feeling hurt again. She thinks, even though I'm used to that, it still hurts. Heli watches her reaction. He notices that she looks sad because of Solon's behavior. Heli speaks up to break the silence. He asks the group, what are you waiting for? Let's go. Heli dismisses the other boys. He tells them, you can go, implying he will stay behind. Gino looks confused. He asks Heli, where were you headed to? Heli stammers a bit. What? Oh, he looks at Suha. He smiles warmly. He says, wanted to look around the campus. Heli offers kindly, let me give you a tour. I'll show you the library first. Suha is surprised and touched. She asks, you do that? With a happy blush, Shin raises his hand excitedly. I want to come too. Let me tag along. Gina laughs and joins in. Yeah, let's all go together. Solon complains in the background. You're all going for a mere campus tour? Gino grabs Solon's arm and drags him along. Come on, Solon, join us. They enter the library. It is massive and beautiful. Suha says, this is the library. Suha looks around in amazement. She exclaims, wow, there are so many books. Gino asks Heli, where's that book you were reading? Heli answers calmly, that one is a really old book. Heli explains to Suha, so you need special permission to borrow it. Suha looks disappointed. She says, oh, I see. Heli smiles gently. He promises, I'll tell you about it when I finish reading it. Suha beams with happiness. She says, you will? Thank you. They walk through the hallways. Heli points out, these are the 9th grade classrooms. He guides her further. The 10th grade classrooms are right around the corner. He continues, but the 11th and 12th grade classrooms are a little further away. Shin pops up next to Suha. For your information, I'm a 10th grader, just like you. Shin points to Gino. Gino is in 11th grade. Let's skip Solon. Shin points to Heli. Heli's in 12th grade. Suma says, oh. Suha looks curious. She says, different grades, yet you seem pretty close. Heli smiles and explains, yeah, we grew up together. Suha is confused. What do you mean? You can't all be brothers. Heli clarifies, we're from the same orphanage. He looks a bit sad but accepts it. He adds, none of us have parents. Suha looks shocked. She feels guilty for asking such a personal question. Gino scolds Heli in the background. Why would you tell her that? Heli apologizes. Sorry, Suha says quietly, I see. They walk outside to the sports field. Gino says, everyone's busy practicing for the nightball game. Gino explains, the other two are probably there. Suha asks, the other two? Gino nods. Yep, we're usually a group of 7. He points to the field. The 2 who are not here are taking this game seriously. Gino explains, they're really competitive so they've been practicing real hard. One of the boys on the field has white hair. Gino laughs, our team's gonna win anyway. Sue asked curiously, what kind of sport is night? Suddenly, a ball flies at high speed toward them. Someone shouts, wish. The boys react with shock. A loud boom sound echoes as someone blocks it. We see a close-up of a torso taking the heavy impact. The ball hits hard, creating a shockwave. The group has shielded Suva. John blocked the ball with his body. John stands firm, protecting her. The text says shield. The ball drops to the ground with a flop. John confirms, yeah, a night ball. 2 boys run over. One shouts, sorry about that. Are you okay? John looks annoyed. He says, ugh, it was you guys? The white-haired boy, Noah, says, oh, it's you guys. What a relief it went John's way. The other boy, Enzi, scolds him. No, you should be careful. Noah scratches his head. Sorry about that. John yells back angrily, why you little? Hallie holds Sue his shoulders. He asks, are you okay? That must have scared you. Sue blushes and trembles. Thanks to you, thanks everyone. Hallie smiles warmly. Don't mention it. We all had fun. Suha suddenly yells, well, I'll get going now. Bye, guys. She zooms away, leaving a dust cloud. Shin asks, did we scare her off? Suha runs back to her dorm. She leaned against the door, panting huff. She slides down to the floor, face red. She thinks, I almost died from awkwardness. She clutches her chest, heart racing. She thinks, it's my first time being surrounded by guys. Salon leans in close to Suhe on the hallway, his expression intense as he asks if she even knows his name. Without waiting for a proper answer, he turns around and begins to walk away from her. Suha stands there, looking confused and slightly flustered by his abrupt behavior. Suddenly, Salon stops in his tracks and glances back over his shoulder with his sharp, mismatched eyes. He continues walking toward the large wooden door at the end of the corridor. Suha calls out to his retreating back, nervously asking, "It's Salon, isn't it?" Hearing his name, Salon turns his head slightly, his gaze cold and unreadable. He fully turns his body around, looking annoyed that she is still talking to him. He pauses for a moment, looking like he wants to say something but hesitates, stammering, wait. Finally, he turns completely to face her, referencing their earlier encounter on the sports field. Salon asks her about what happened earlier, specifically when the ball almost hit her. Suha listens intently, remembering how he pulled her back to safety. A flashback shows Salon grabbing the back of her uniform to pull her away from the flying ball. Back in the present, Salon blushes and looks away, claiming he didn't do that just to save her. He raises his voice defensively, shouting that he was only brushing dust off her jacket. Suha smiles sweetly at him, thanking him anyway and saying she hopes they can be friends. Salon looks taken aback by her kindness, his expression softening just a little. Suddenly, his face becomes serious and shadowed, as if remembering a warning. He warns her sternly not to hang out with them, especially him, mentioning other people. Suha is left stunned and confused as Salon tells her there is something strange about her. Salon thinks to himself that he feels a strong sense of attraction to her for some reason, which disturbs him. He turns away, giving a final command for her not to talk to them anymore before leaving. The scene shifts to the exterior of the grand castle-like dormitory as night falls. Inside their room, the boys Jaka, Shin, and Noah are sitting together, discussing their strange feelings. Shin clutches his chest, looking flushed and panicked, asking if this is what they call love. Jaka, with red hair, laughs awkwardly, saying there is no way vampires like them would feel such an emotion. He adds that she is definitely not their kind, but he feels like a mysterious power is controlling him. Noah, with gray hair, agrees, describing the feeling as an urge to do whatever she wants. Heli, the boy with black hair, stands quietly listening to his friends try to explain the attraction. The group falls silent, trying to understand this new, powerful pull they all feel toward the new girl. Shin jumps up excitedly with flowers in the background, asking if they have all fallen in love. Jaka denies it with a smile, but he looks just as flustered as the others. No looks serious, stating that what they are feeling is something much stronger than just love. A silhouette shows Heli and Suha standing together, symbolizing their deep connection. The scene cuts to feet walking away, implying the boys are trying to distance themselves. We see a close-up of Heli smiling gently, perhaps accepting the feeling more than the others. Back in the hallway with Salon, Suha bursts into tears, sniffling loudly because he was so mean to her. Salon panics when he sees her crying, his face turning blue with shock and confusion. He yells frantically, asking her why she is making that face and trying to get her to stop. Unable to handle her tears, Salon gives up and shouts, "Okay, fine. Do it. Say hi." Salon continues yelling in defeat, telling her to talk to them whenever she wants and just do as she wishes. He turns and walks down the long hallway, trying to escape the awkward situation. He stops and looks back over his shoulder, telling her not to get the wrong idea about what he said earlier. Suha looks up at him with teary, red eyes, listening to his explanation. Salon looks down shyly, admitting that he doesn't tell her to stay away because he hates her. Suha is relieved to hear that, her expression softening. Salon turns his head away again, grumbling that the other guys wouldn't listen to him anyway. He tells her not to worry about what he said, looking at her with his unique eyes one last time. Suha watches him walk away into the distance, feeling much better. She waves her hand and calls out, "Good night, Salon," as he disappears. The night passes and the sun rises over the beautiful Deselli's Academy campus. Suha adjusts her ribbon tie in the mirror, preparing herself for the day. She closes her eyes and takes a deep breath, thinking, finally, this day has come. She steps out of the massive front doors, excited for her first official day of school. She holds her leather school bag in front of her, standing nervously on the steps. She looks up and spots someone waiting for her at the bottom of the stairs. Hup! It is Heli, dressed in his uniform, smiling warmly and waiting for her. Suha is surprised and asks where they are going, and if he really waited just for her. Heli reminds her that she said they could be friends, so he wanted to walk her to the classroom. Suha blushes, realizing he was worried she might feel awkward being the new girl. They enter the busy school hallway together, surrounded by other students. Students wave excitedly at Heli, shouting "Hi, Heli," showing how popular he is. Some girls whisper jealously, wondering why he is with the new girl. Heli walks confidently, smiling at everyone but keeping his attention on Suha. Suha looks down, feeling shy and overwhelmed by all the attention Heli attracts. Noticing her reaction, Heli leans in and asks if he is making her uncomfortable. Suha is startled by the question and stammers, "Huh? Why yeah?" Heli brings his face very close to hers to whisper so only she can hear. Suha waves her hands frantically, denying it. "Oh no, it's not you." She quickly tries to explain that it is quite the opposite of what he thinks. Suha explains that she feels like she is intruding since the boys have been close since they were little. Heli listens to her concern with a gentle expression. He laughs brightly, telling her that idea is ridiculous and not true at all. He guesses immediately that Salon must have said something to make her think that. Suha is shocked he knew. They continue walking, and Heli tells her not to worry about Salon's words. He assures her that Salon didn't mean any harm by what he said. A flashback shows Salon looking serious. Heli explains the real reason Salon is protective. A golden speech bubble reveals Heli's voice in her head. "It's because we have a secret." Suha stops walking, realizing his lips didn't move. She looks at him in total shock, stammering, "Did you just talk to me in my head?" Heli smiles calmly and confirms, "Yeah, that's right. It's telepathy." Suha stares at him, amazed by his ability. Heli continues speaking into her mind, saying he is only telling her because he trusts her. He walks slightly ahead, turning back to wish her good luck in class. Suha snaps out of her daze and shouts back, "Why you too?" Suddenly, Shin appears with a bright, sparkly background, yelling, "Suha, we're in the same class." Suha is relieved to see another friend and says, "Me too, what a relief." Shin excitedly gestures to the empty desk next to his, inviting her to sit there. He points enthusiastically, saying, "Come sit here, right next to me." However, Suha notices that the seat behind that empty desk is already taken. Suha turns her head slowly to look at who is sitting behind the empty spot. It is Salon, and he is glaring with dark, intense eyes, clearly not happy about the seating arrangement. In the classroom, Shin stands up and happily tells Salon that he can sit somewhere else if he wants. Salon glares back at Shin with blue flames of anger around him, clearly annoyed by the suggestion. Suha panics and waves her hands frantically, telling Salon to keep his seat and that she will find another one. Salon grumpily turns his head away, muttering "forget it" as he refuses to stay. He walks away from the desk in a bad mood while Suha watches him leave, feeling confused. Later, the school bell rings loudly, signaling that classes are finally over for the day. She leans over to Suha's desk and asks her what she plans to do now that school is out. Suha smiles and explains that she is going back to clean her room today. She explains that she started cleaning last night, but the room is still very messy and there's a lot to throw out. Shin beams with excitement and immediately volunteers, saying, "Then I'll help." The scene shifts to the busy school hallway where students are walking and chatting after class. Heli spots Suha in the hallway and approaches her, calling out her name. Suha turns around, surprised, and says, "Oh, it's Heli." Heli smiles warmly and asks her if she enjoyed her classes today. Suha replies that being in the same class as Shin made things much easier for her. Heli realizes that this means she is also in the same class as Salon. Suha happily tells him that Salon was nice enough to give her his seat. Heli looks genuinely shocked to hear this and asks, "He did?" A flashback shows Salon arguing with the other boys, claiming Suha stole the seat from him. In the flashback, the gray-haired boy scolds Salon, telling him to mind his manners. Gino, the redhead, laughs and says that since Suha is new, they should be nice to her. Shin suggests that Salon can just stand at the back of the classroom instead. Salon trembles with rage while the other boys tease him, and Suha stands there awkwardly holding her bag. Back in the present, Suha tells Heli that the other boys also offered to help her clean her room. Heli leans in closer with a charming smile and asks, "Then can I come too?" The group arrives at the large wooden door of Suha's room, ready to enter. Salon looks unhappy to be there, asking why us while Suha insists she can do it herself. Inside, the room is indeed messy, and the boys start looking around at the work to be done. Shin and the others start picking things up immediately, ignoring Suha's request for them to just watch. John, the gray-haired boy, stretches his arms, ready to start lifting heavy objects. Gino smiles brightly as he ties up a trash bag, happy to be helping out. Shin is wearing a pink apron and bandana, declaring that cleaning is his favorite thing in the world, while Salon calls him a liar. Suha waves her hands, shouting that she will help too because she feels bad watching them work. She grabs a heavy-looking wooden box to move it out of the way. John notices what she is doing and yells out in panic, "No, wait, that box is..." Before he can finish, Suha lifts the box effortlessly with a swoosh sound. The box is revealed to be full of heavy metal dumbbells. Suha holds the box easily, wondering what is inside. John stares in shock, explaining that there are 100 kg of dumbbells in that box. Suha freezes, realizing she just exposed her superhuman strength to everyone. She looks terrified, her face turning blue with fear of how they will react. The boys all stare at her in silence, processing what they just saw. Suha thinks to herself, panic rising, wondering if they will think she is a monster. Suddenly, Heli steps in and takes the heavy box from her hands. He holds the dumbbells easily and smiles, telling her it is okay. Heli looks into her eyes and asks gently, "Do I scare you?" Suha shakes her head vigorously, "No, of course not." Heli reveals a golden telepathic bubble, saying, "It's the same for us." Salon suddenly shouts, accusing Heli of talking to her through telepathy again. Gino looks nervous, sweating as the secret is being revealed. John looks serious, realizing the situation has changed. Heli confirms calmly that he has been using telepathy since earlier that day. Salon gritted his teeth, angry that Heli is being so open. John and Jin look at Heli, wondering what he is doing. Heli holds the box and asks Suha if she will keep his ability as secret. Suha promises immediately, swearing she won't tell anyone. Heli smiles kindly, suggesting they keep their secrets between them. Suha looks at him with wide eyes, touched by his trust. Heli compliments her, saying he thinks her powers are really cool. Suha blushes and stammers, "Why yours too?" She admits she was a little surprised at first, but she thinks telepathy is awesome. Suddenly, Shin drops down from the ceiling, hanging upside down to show he can stick to walls. Salwan yells at Shin for showing off so suddenly. John balances a heavy dumbbell on one finger, revealing those weights are actually his. Salwan yells at John now, looking stressed by his friend's behavior. Gino creates a flame in his hand, smiling and showing off his fire ability. Salon screams, "You too, Gino?" as chaos erupts in the room. Suha watches them all with sparkles in her eyes, amazed by their powers. Salon yells defensively that he doesn't have anything, trying to hide his own abilities. Suha simply smiles and says, "Oh, I see," not pressing him further. Salon stammers, turning red, and says he does have powers but just isn't showing her. He quickly turns around, declaring that since cleaning is done, they should leave. The boys leave the room, laughing and teasing each other as they walk out the door. Heli pauses at the door to say goodbye to Suha properly. Suha smiles happily and thanks Heli for his help today. Heli waves and says, "Bye, Suha. See you tomorrow." We see the group waving from the hallway before the door closes. The heavy door shuts with a thud, leaving Suha alone in her room. Suha smiles to herself, feeling a sense of relief and happiness. She looks around her clean room, thinking about how she finally met such nice friends. A close-up of Suha shows her looking thoughtful. She thinks about how surprised she was to find out they all have special powers. She recalls the image of the boys showing off their abilities a moment ago. A thought crosses her mind, could they be vampires, but she quickly dismisses it. She blushes, shaking her head and asking herself what she is even thinking. A dark memory surfaces of children bullying her and calling her a vampire. She remembers crying as a child, suffering from being misunderstood her whole life. She thinks of Heli, realizing he is the only one who has trusted her since someone named Chris. Suha makes a determined face, deciding that she trusts him too. She realizes that just like there is someone like her, there can be people like Heli and his friends. Suha stands confidently in her room, saying to herself, "That's right, I'm not alone anymore," she finishes, picturing her new friends under the light of a chandelier. The scene cuts to a high-angle view of the dark school grounds at night. 3 dark figures are seen jumping over the high fence of the academy with agility. They land heavily on the ground with a thud, looking menacing. The figures stand up, their eyes glowing ominously as one asks, "Where are those vampires?" The room is finally clean. Suha looks around and feels happy because the boys helped her clean it up very quickly. She smiles widely and shouts, "Wow!" She is amazed at how fast they finished the work. The bedroom looks perfect now. It is sparkling and completely tidy. But then, Suha notices a black trash bag near the door. They forgot to throw this one out. She picks up the bag and decides to take care of it herself. She thinks she should go throw it away immediately. Suha walks outside towards the dumpsters. It is nighttime and the school grounds are very dark and quiet. She starts to feel a little scared. The dumpsters are further away than she thought and the shadows look creepy. As she walks, she remembers a scary rumor. People say there was a murder nearby recently. The rumors say a vampire caused the murder. Suha feels a chill run down her spine as she thinks about it. She looks terrified. Even though people think she is a vampire, she wants to tell them that she is actually scared of vampires too. Suha reaches the trash area. It is very dark, and she just wants to finish this quickly. She tosses the heavy trash bag into the bin. Thus, she is ready to run back inside. Suddenly, a tall, dark shadow appears behind her. A deep voice says, "Excuse me." Suha freezes. Her eyes go wide with fear. She thinks it might be a vampire. A strong hand grabs her wrist tightly. She panics and reacts on instinct. Using her super strength, she grabs the person's arm and throws him over her shoulder. Swoosh! Smash! The person hits the ground with a loud noise. Dust flies everywhere. Suha stands there, panting heavily. She is terrified but ready to defend herself. The dust settles and she sees a boy lying on the ground. He groans. My back, he is wearing a school uniform. Suha runs closer to look. She realizes he is not a monster but a student. She is shocked and confused. Suddenly, another boy with reddish hair jumps in. He is very angry and yells, "How dare you attack Khan?" Suha turns around quickly to defend herself again. She sees the angry boy rushing at her. The boy, Khan, sees her face and realizes she is a girl. He tries to stop, but he is moving too fast. What? Suha hits him too because he startled her. Khan gets knocked back. Khan hits the ground hard. He is shocked that a girl could hit him that hard. Another boy, Najak, runs over. He sees Khan on the ground and looks surprised. Najak starts laughing. He can't believe it. He asks, "You even took Khan down?" He thinks it is funny. Suha is confused by all these strange boys. She shouts nervously, "What are you? Are you vampires?" A tall boy with glasses, Enzi, walks up calmly. The other boys look at Suha. Suha is trembling. She asks them directly, "What are you vampires?" Enzi shakes his head immediately. He tells her firmly, "Take that back. We are not vampires." Khan stands up, looking annoyed. He tells Suha that calling them vampire is the worst insult possible. Najak shivers and holds his arms. He says just thinking about vampires gives him goosebumps. The group explains that they hate vampires more than anyone else in the world. They seem very serious about it. In the background, another boy named Heli is watching quietly. He does not say anything yet. The full moon shines brightly in the sky above them. The mood calms down. Suha realizes they are not enemies. She introduces herself, "I'm Suha." Enzi smiles kindly. He apologizes for scaring her earlier. Enzi points to the others and introduces them. He points to the boy with glasses and says, "That's Tavel." Khan and Najak smile and introduce themselves too. Khan says he is the youngest. They are friendly now. Enzi continues talking to Suha. He wants to make sure she is okay after the fight. He gently pats her head. He says, "We scared you, didn't we? I'm sorry." Suha blushes. She is used to people treating her badly, so she is surprised they are so nice to her. Enzi takes his hand back. He looks at her curiously. He notices her clothes. "You're not wearing our school uniform," he says. Khan and the others look at her, realizing she must be from the other school nearby. Najak looks at her with interest. They wonder what she is doing out so late. Suddenly, the atmosphere changes. The boys sense something coming. 3 new students appear from the shadows. They are wearing striped uniforms. These are the night vampires. The night vampires walk closer. They ask, "What are you guys doing here?" The tension returns instantly. Khan looks at the new group with anger. He does not like them at all. One of the night vampires, Chen, asks about the murder that happened recently. They step closer to Suha and the boys. They look suspicious. The leader of the night vampires, Salon, stands tall. He looks very dangerous. Suha looks back and forth between the two groups. She feels scared again. Salon acts arrogant. He asks if they know anything about the murders since they are out at night. Khan gets angry at the accusation. He shouts, "Don't play dumb with us." The night vampires laugh. They think the boys are weak. They taunt them. The boys from both sides start to power up. Energy crackles around them. Suddenly, Heli steps forward. His eyes are glowing bright yellow in the darkness. The night vampires attack. Shin uses wind and Gina uses ice powers. Khan roars and charges forward with his super strength. Salon prepares to fight too. It looks like a big battle is about to start. Suddenly, Suha runs into the middle of the fight. She yells, "Stop!" A huge burst of power explodes from Suha. Ugh! It pushes everyone back. Suha screams, "Don't fight!" Her power creates a barrier between the two groups. Khan is still growling, but he can't move forward against her power. The night vampires are shocked. Gina looks at Suha with wide eyes. Salon is also surprised. He didn't know a human girl could have this much power. Suha stands there, panting. She managed to stop the fight for a moment. The night vampires stare at her through the dust. They are confused by her strength. Behind her, Enzi Khan and the others are also staring. They are just as surprised. Heli walks past his friends. He stares intensely at Suha. Salon watches Heli carefully. The tension is very high. Suha looks up and sees Heli approaching her. She stammers, "H Heli." Heli stands silently in the dark, looking down. The chapter ends with this mysterious moment. The scene opens with a high-angle view of the standoff. Heli stands protectively between Suha and a group of vampires. Suha looks worried. She stammers, "H Heli," but then notices he seems calm. Heli walks past Suha with a serious expression. He steps forward to face the vampires. He turns his head slightly back to Suha and whispers, "Yeah, I'm fine," to reassure her. The three vampires in striped shirts stand in a line, watching Heli with suspicion. As Heli tries to lead Suha away, Salon, the vampire leader, calls out aggressively, "Hey, you!" Khan, the boy with reddish hair, steps in. He looks furious and shouts, "Who said you can leave?" Heli stops and turns around slowly. His expression is cold and dark. Khan glares at the vampires from the side. He is ready to fight them right now. Heli stares back at the vampires with glowing yellow eyes. The tension is very high. Khan leans forward and yells loudly. He tells the vampires to get out of their school campus immediately. Salon, the vampire with dark hair, stands calmly. He ignores the shouting and looks serious. Najak, the boy with purple hair, grits his teeth. He looks ready to attack. The white-haired vampire, Shin, narrows his eyes. They are accusing Heli's group of a crime. Heli stares them down. The background turns dark as his anger begins to rise. Suha looks back and forth between them. She hears the vampires accusing the boys of killing a student. Heli's power starts to manifest. A dark, purple aura swirls around him like smoke. Suha looks up at Heli in fear. She sees his control slipping away. "Heli," she whispers. Khan shouts at the vampires, "I knew it was you guys." He is escalating the fight. Suddenly, Heli snaps. His eyes glow a terrifying bright red, and he zooms forward to attack. Suha freezes. She sees Heli's face change into something monstrous and scary. A close-up shows Heli's eye. It is no longer human. It is filled with pure rage and bloodlust. Heli stands amidst the dark aura, looking like a demon. He is about to kill everyone. Suha realizes she has to stop him. She opens her mouth to scream. In her mind, she thinks it was as if she is terrified of the violence about to happen. Suha throws her arms out and screams, "Stop." A burst of energy flies out from her. She squeezes her eyes shut and yells, "Don't fight," with all her strength. Khan, who was about to attack, stops abruptly. He looks shocked by Suha's sudden power. Heli also stops. The red glow in his eyes fades away as he hears her voice. Suha stands there with tears in her eyes. She looks at Heli, panting and scared. "Huh?" Heli looks at his own feet. He takes a deep breath and decides to stop. "Fine, don't," he says. He turns to Suha and holds her shoulders gently. He wants to calm her down. Suha looks up at him. Her face is flushed, but she stops crying. Khan and Enzi watch from the side. They look relieved that the fight didn't happen. Heli smiles warmly at Suha. He looks completely different from the monster he was a second ago. Enzi speaks up. He suggests a different way to settle the dispute. The scene flashes to a bright stadium. It is the Nightball Stadium. Enzi proposes they settle this at the upcoming tournament. Heli likes the idea. He smiles and agrees, saying they can resolve it through sports. The view shows Heli from the back, facing the vampires. He prefers this to a fistfight. Heli looks confident. He says it will be fair and square. Khan looks at Heli with a confused expression. He wanted to beat them up right now. Khan yells that he can't believe they are just going to play a game instead of fighting. Salon and the vampires agree to the challenge but warn them. The boys turn to walk away. Heli glances back with a smirk. He is confident they will win the game. Khan glares at the vampires one last time. His eyes show he still hates them. The group walks away into the night. Heli calls out, "Suha." Enzi walks beside them, looking back to make sure the vampires aren't following. Suha answers, "Oh, it's okay. She is just glad everyone is safe." Enzi looks thoughtful. He is the calmest one in the group. Vampires are left standing in the courtyard. They watch the boys leave. Khan is walking with his hands in his pockets, looking annoyed. The background is dark and gloomy. Heli turns to the group and says, "Everyone." He leads them back to the dorms. Khan turns around while walking and complains, "Durr." He is still mad. The group walks further away. Khan asks, "Are you serious? We're just going to leave like this." Enzi ignores Khan's grumbling. They head toward the large stone archway. As they walk, Enzi's glasses reflect the moonlight. He is deep in thought. The vampires, Shin and Salon, stay behind. They watch the group disappear with cold expressions. Helly leans down to talk to Suha. He wants to check on her again. The sound of their footsteps echoes. Step, step. Suha looks happy now. Suddenly, Helly apologizes. Suha looks surprised. I'm sorry, he says. Helly looks guilty. He is sorry for scaring her and almost fighting. Suha waves her hands. No, don't be. She reassures him immediately. She tells him that he stopped when she asked, so it's okay. Rohit, I did. Helly replies happily. They walk through the school entrance. Step, step. The night is quiet again. Suha thinks to herself, that was strange. She looks at a glowing street lamp. She glances at Helly from the side. She remembers his scary red eyes. But now, Helly gives her a big, innocent smile. He looks like a completely normal boy. An aerial view shows the school looking like a majestic castle in the moonlight. Suddenly, Enzi stops walking. He reaches his hand out into the empty air. Tush! A blue blur attacks him from the shadows. It is Gino, the blue-haired vampire. Dun! Enzi catches Gino's clawed hand easily. His own hand is covered in ice. Gino is shocked. His eyes go wide, just as I thought, he thinks. Enzi stands calmly. He knew Gino was following them the whole time. Gino pulls back and hisses, showing his fangs. He is ready to attack again. Enzi looks at him without fear. He opens his mouth to speak. And he spreads his arms. He smiles politely and says, we've seen each other around. Enzi introduces himself. Hi, I'm Enzi. As you may already know. Gino stares in shock as Enzi finishes his sentence. I'm a werewolf. Enzi walks calmly through the garden. He spots Gino and says, you. Enzi smiles knowingly. He teases Gino, saying, I saw everything just now. Gino flinches. His body starts to fade into the shadows, trying to hide. Enzi looks curious. He asks, how is a mix of a vampire and a werewolf even possible? Gino glares at him, sweating nervously. He looks caught off guard. Enzi continues, historically, those two races have been enemies. Gino grits his teeth in anger. He hates being questioned like this. Enzi shrugs his shoulders. He says he is just asking out of curiosity. Enzi's expression turns serious. He asks, tell me, what are you doing at our school? Gino stands his ground. He looks ready to fight if he has to. Enzi looks at Gino through his glasses. He asks about the recent murder. Gino looks away, looking guilty or perhaps just uncomfortable. Enzi mentions the victim was a student from their school. A flashback shows the victim's body. There is a sharp bite mark on the neck. Gino yells angrily, are you suggesting that we did it? Enzi says calmly, I'd be lying if I said we never feel the urge. Gino is furious. He shouts, and Enzi stands under the moonlight. He says, especially on nights with a full moon. Enzi's eyes glow green. He admits that when the moon is full, they feel a strong instinct too. Behind Enzi, a giant spirit of a wolf howls at the moon. Ow! Enzi looks at Gino seriously. He waits for an answer. Gino shouts, where he is desperate to defend his group. Gino yells, we're not like the other vampires. Enzi listens quietly. He asks, what makes you think you're different? Gino looks frustrated. He struggles to find the words. Gino admits, actually, the other vampires are not like us. Gino steps forward aggressively. He looks very intense. He stares directly at Enzi. His mismatched eyes glow. Gino says, just me. None of us do. He means that none of them know their true origins. Gino looks sad for a moment. He says as if. Enzi watches him closely, sensing Gino is telling the truth. Gino says they can't answer where they came from because they don't know. Gino's face hardens again. He looks determined. He turns his head away. He says it feels like they just woke up. Gino explains, or had woken up from a long dream. He insists, but that murder has nothing to do with us. Enzi looks at Gino's back. He considers his words. Enzi reaches his hand out. I'm not asking you to, he says. Gino turns around, surprised. He blushes slightly, confused by Enzi's kindness. Enzi smiles warmly. I hope you're telling the truth, he says. The scene pulls back. Enzi is alone in the garden now. He looks around. Enzi looks at his empty hand. Gino has already disappeared. Enzi smiles to himself. Sly. He realizes Gino ran away. Enzi looks up at the moon. He thinks it's time to go back. Gino clenches his fist as he runs away. Punch! He feels conflicted. The scene changes to the large clock tower of the school. It is late at night. Inside the hallway, Helly stands with Suha and the twins, Noah and Jacka. Helly smiles gently at Suha. He is happy she is safe. Suha looks at him and smiles back. The atmosphere is sweet. Suha turns to the twins. She thanks them for their help earlier. The twins, Noah and Jacka, nod. They are polite, but quiet. Helly watches Suho with a soft expression. Suho looks up at Helly. She has something to say. Helly leans in closer to her. What? He listens comfortably. Suho blushes deep red. She is shy being this close to him. Helly smiles, enjoying the moment. He looks very charming. Suho enters her room. The heavy wooden door closes with a thunk. Helly stands outside the door, still smiling. Suddenly, the twins rush up to Helly. What? They look excited and shocked. Noah asks Helly. No, he wants to talk about what happened. The twins look serious. They have questions about Suho. Flashback to earlier. Suho is thanking them for coming to help. Noah looks surprised in the flashback. He is confused. Suho asks Helly, how did you know I was there? Helly smiles innocently. He lies, saying, I was just passing by. Suho looks relieved. She believes him. Suho pauses. She realizes she almost confessed her feelings. Helly tilts his head. He wonders what she is thinking. Suho feels embarrassed and quickly says goodnight. She rushes off. Back to the present. The twins are interrogating Helly in the hallway. Noah asks, what's she? He knows she isn't normal. Flashback, the twins are walking on the campus path at night. Suddenly, Noah feels a shock. He senses a massive energy. An aerial view shows a giant swirl of purple energy on the ground. The energy is wild and powerful. It looks like a storm. Suho stands in the center of the purple storm. Her hair blows in the wind. Noah stares at the power in shock. He has never felt this before. He clutches his chest. The power was overwhelming. Back in the hallway, Noah looks at Helly intently. Noah asks the big question, is she one of us? Noah looks desperate for an answer. Her power felt like theirs. Helly looks down, his expression darkening. Helly says firmly, she, as he denies it. Helly looks at the closed door of Suho's room. He thinks back to the group of vampires they met. He remembers Suho looking sad and scared. He remembers happier times with his friends, wondering if they can keep this secret. Helly looks very sad. He says, really? He recalls a memory of Suho looking distant. In the memory, Suho looks heartbroken. She says, I hate. A quick flash of a tragic memory, a young boy lying dead in a coffin. This is why she hates vampires. Chapter ends with Suho walking into her dark room alone, while Helly stands in the light outside, separated by the door and her hatred for his kind. The chapter begins with a view of the school castle at night. A loud shout echoes from one of the windows. What? Inside the dorms, Solon is furious. He shouts, the werewolves were at our school. Helly sits on the bed, looking calm. He listens to Solon ranting about the recent encounter. Solon clenches his fist tightly. He is trembling with anger. Solon stands in the middle of his room, yelling at his friends. How dare they try to frame us? Solon looks around, annoyed. He asks, what are you all doing in my room? Shin, wearing a striped shirt, smiles nervously. He explains, the room where we used to meet is now Suho's. John, the redhead, is lying comfortably on Solon's bed. He adds, your room is the tidiest. Solon yells, no way. He refuses to let his room become the new hangout spot. Jacka, the blonde boy, smiles and says, cleaning up afterward is too much work. Solon has a flashback of Jacka wearing a maid outfit and saying, I love cleaning. Back in the present, Jacka smiles innocently and says, haha, I was admitting he lied back then. Solon's face turns dark with anger. The text rage appears next to him. Noah gives a thumbs up from the side, teasing Solon for being gullible. Solon looks stunned. He realizes everyone knew Jacka was lying except him. Solon turns his head, sweating nervously. He feels embarrassed. He looks away, startled. Just he stammers. Solon scratches the back of his head awkwardly. What? He grimaces, feeling foolish for believing the lie for so long. Helly smiles knowingly and asks, you knew, huh? Helly looks at Solon with a gentle expression. Solon crosses his arms and tries to act tough again. Solon shouts what? At Noah and Shin, who are looking at him. Noah looks surprised by Solon's sudden shout. Solon continues to yell, taking his frustration out on everyone. John and Jacka laugh in the background, enjoying the show. Solon turns his head and mutters, show off. He turns away with the HMPH, acting childish. Shin asks and Solon flinches, realizing he is being watched. Solon blushes, looking flustered and embarrassed. Noah changes the subject. He asks, what made them think it was us? John sits backwards on a chair. He explains, rumors did it. A visual of the murder scene appears. It shows a victim with bite marks on the neck. John looks serious. he says, and referencing the specific marks. Shin and Noah listen intently to the details. Shin looks concerned. He realizes why the werewolves suspect them. John looks annoyed. Anyway, he says, moving on. Helly sits quietly on the edge of the bed, deep in thought. Scene shifts to Sue is sleeping peacefully in her bed, covered in a blue blanket. Helly watches her in his mind, whispering her name, Helly. Back in the room, Shin and Noah are talking. Suddenly, Jacka makes a chomp face, pretending to be a scary vampire. Solon screams rage again. He hates when they joke about their identity. Jacka smiles brightly with sparkles around him, finding it funny. Helly and Jacka laugh together. Helly sits comfortably, enjoying the lively atmosphere with his friends. John speaks up, but we only drink blood. Noah closes his eyes calmly. On the special day, Solon screams Nuo. In the background, trying to control the chaos, Solon yells at the group drawn as small chivas to be careful and not reveal their secret. Shin looks nervous and sweats. He seems to be planning something. Solon closes his eyes and nods nod, agreeing to a plan. The view shows the large wooden door to the dorms. The school clock tower shines brightly under the moonlight. An aerial view shows the school grounds. Helly calls out Suha. Jacka stands before Suha, blushing and smiling excitedly. In the background, Solon is yelling. Jacka says, we can. Suha looks surprised but happy, blushing slightly. Jacka beams with joy, his eyes sparkling. Jacka points his finger and lists things they can do together. Suha asks, just the two of us. She wants to clarify the date. Jacka nods eagerly. Just us two. Suddenly, Solon bursts into the frame interrupting them. Jacka turns around looking shocked and angry. Solon yells at Jacka. He refuses to let them go alone because it's risky. Solon and Jacka argue loudly. The text bubble says G guys as Suha watches. Solon grits his teeth, looking furious. Jacka smiles innocently again, trying to brush it off. Solon screams with rage, a vein popping on his head. In a reflection, Noah, Helly, and Shin are watching the argument unfold. The trio watches from the window. Jacka turns to them and yells, yes. Everyone, say something asking for backup. A bright light flashes as the others decide to join in. Solon grits his teeth, realizing his plan backfired. Noah shouts, I want to go. John laughs and shouts, me too. Noah smiles nicely and asks, can I join? Shin smiles calmly. Now everyone wants to come along. Solon screams in despair. His plan to supervise has turned into a massive group outing. The whole group surrounds Suha. Solon looks defeated, Jacka is frustrated, and Suha looks confused. I can't believe this. Helly approaches the group with a gentle smile. He looks at Suha with soft, golden eyes. Suha blushes deeply as Helly stands close to her. Helly stands behind Suha and asks, can I come too? Suha thinks to herself, how did he know?